This episode, I'm going to show you the cool technique that I just came up with for texturing XPS foam. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Magic Craft. This episode, I'm going to take a little break from my miniatures series in order to get back to terrain for a bit. I'm not going to be building anything, but I'm going to share with you a technique that I just discovered for doing a cool stone texture on XPS foam, specifically when making XPS bricks. For those of you that have been paying attention to the community tab on the channel as well as the Facebook page, you may already know that I have been experimenting with resin casting. My current project that I have behind the scenes are these resin cast modular doors. I wanted some really nice looking doors, and I realized the only way to do that was to make a really nice sculpt and start casting it. The good news for you guys is that because I'm already going to be making masters and making molds and casting, I plan this spring to bring these doors to Kickstarter, where you will be able to buy your own set of Black Magic Craft modular dungeon doors. There'll be these sweet little resin door frames with slabs that are interchangeable and magnetic, and it's gonna be really cool. But that's not what this video is about. It's just what led me to this new technique. When I was making the master to cast for this door frame, I realized very quickly that the usual tinfoil ball technique of denting foam to create stone texture wasn't going to cut it for a high detailed resin cast. I needed texture that was more defined and more stone-like and not just a light imprint from the tinfoil. The tinfoil works okay when you're just doing a quick building that you're gonna paint up, and that's that, but I needed something better. So I started experimenting with different ways to texture the XPS foam that would give me a more defined stone pattern and work really well for casting, and I came up with something that I thought was really cool. I have this engraving tool from Hotwire Foam Factory. It's pretty much like a little soldering iron with a metal tip that you can use to engrave in styrofoam. And it's a nifty little tool, and it probably works really well for doing kind of like haunted house props. If you were doing big real sized tombstones and you want to engrave lettering, it would be great for that. But I've always found that the tip on it was a little bit too big and it melted a bit too much foam to really be of use at a very small scale that I use when building buildings. So it kind of sits unused. But when I started thinking about how to take the aluminum foil texture to another level, it dawned on me, if I were to take some foil and wrap it around the end of this tool, it would cause the tinfoil to heat up. Then I could roll the piece over the foam and indent that texture much deeper, and it worked. It worked really well. So what I did to get some really nice brickwork was I just cut a strip of XPS foam on my PROXXON table to the dimension that I wanted. Then with a continuous stick, I textured it using the tinfoil on the tool, heated it up, and just started rolling it down the piece. And I was really happy with just how well it worked. It's important to make sure that this aluminum foil, tinfoil, whatever, is not stuck on, but can actually roll and spin on the piece. And that way you can just run it down like a wheel and get this excellent texture. Do all four sides of your piece. And then if you want to go over the corners lightly and hit those two, you will be left with this shaft that is really nicely textured. You can then cut in your individual bricks and then just one by one hit the edges to kind of etch them with this again. Now, this isn't the fastest thing. I wouldn't do this on a project where I needed 300 bricks. But if you're gonna do a nice showpiece, or there's a spot on your building where you wanna just have really nice accented stone, this is a great way to do it. Or if, like me, you're planning on casting your piece with using silicone molds and plaster or resin. It really makes a big difference over just the normal aluminum foil technique. Not only does it make the texture more defined, it also cauterizes the foam. So all of a sudden, your XPS foam that you're left with is really, really hard and rigid. I would say it actually becomes more rigid than even after you put Mod Podge on your foam. This makes it really strong and dense, which is a nice bonus. Now, I used this Hotwire Foam Factory engraving tool to accomplish this because I already had it. And I will put a link for it in the description of this video, and I think it's already up on my Essential Equipment store with a few other Hotwire tools. You don't need this particular one. I would wager that this technique would work just as well with a soldering iron or a wood burning engraver. Basically any hot tool that has a metal shaft and a point that you can wrap some foil around to do this technique will probably work. So if you have one of those kicking around, you can go ahead and try this and see if it works. And if you don't and you want to pick up a tool to do this, I think you can just get away with buying whatever is readily available and affordable for you. Maybe I will try to find a link to a cheap soldering iron on Amazon, and I will put a link for that as well in the description. Probably able to find one cheaper than this tool here. This technique is simple and it's small, but it made a big difference for me, and it allowed me to accomplish what I needed to do for my master carving to start casting. And I really like the way it turned out. I'm really happy about it. These doors are going to be cool. Right now, I am in heavy development, finishing all of the prototypes for these doors, and hopefully soon I will have the whole set fleshed out and a bunch of masters made, and I can start making batch molds and I can launch the Kickstarter. I am hoping to bring this project to Kickstarter this spring. Within a month or two, I'm hoping that it goes live, and I'm hoping that it's gonna be a big success and that I can get a lot of my actual original sculpts out onto the tabletops across the world, because that would be a big thrill. It's great having you guys build the projects that I show you how to do and use them in your games, but I think it would be really special to actually see my hand-carved original ideas on everybody's game tables. That would be really cool. I hope that you guys found this video useful. If you did, hit that like button and drop me a comment below. If you have your own unique way of texturing XPS foam that I might not know about, I'd love to hear about it. Put it in the comments section and I will check it out and try it for myself. If you want to pick up any of the tools or supplies that I use regularly in my builds, head on over to blackmagiccraft.ca. There you will find my Essential Equipment store with links to all of the stuff on Amazon that I use and recommend. Purchasing through those links gives the channel a small commission that helps fund these videos. The other way that these videos are funded, the number one way, is through the support of people on Patreon. It is because of their generosity that these videos keep getting made every single Saturday, and I would love to have you as the newest backer on Patreon and the newest member of the Blackmagic Craft Fellowship. So check out the Patreon page to see what that is all about and join up with a bunch of other cool people in the fellowship. That's it for this week, guys. I got a lot of work to do to continue on developing this door idea because I am so anxious to bring it to the world. So I'm gonna get back to it right now. I will see you guys again next week. Cheers and happy crafting.